Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Okay, everybody,
Thank you for being here. I have an announcement. I want to thank Willie Little. Let me see here. We've got Willie Little John. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Let me give you a clap there. So I want to thank everybody who is here. Now, the announcement that I have to make, I got my man Lions Den on the other line with me. Originally, let me just let everybody know this is very important. Originally, I was supposed to interview Brother Ujima Tobiki. The brother is an activist in the Los Angeles area. He works out of the Marcus Garvey School there, and he is a friend of the family of Nipsey Hussle. I had conversations with him over the phone just yesterday. We agreed that he would come on and we would go more in depth about Nipsey Hussle and his family in terms of his relationship with Nipsey Hussle. He is a teacher, so he has taught a lot of the young men. He's known Nipsey since he was a child. And we, like I said, we had a pretty good conversation. From what I understand, he called me earlier this morning and said he had to decline the interview as it relates to Brother Nipsey Hussle because he had a conversation. He was real pumped up to get on here with me, but he had a conversation with the family. And because of what's happening with the family and the loss of their son and everything that's going on right now in Los Angeles, the family advised to not do the interview. They didn't want him to do the interview and talk about Nipsey in any personal manner. So I had to respect that, respect the family's wishes, and respect the brother as well. And I told him that we would get together. Tabiti is his name. We talked about getting together because this is a brother who has expert information on vaccines. This is a brother that's an herbist. This is a brother who's out of the same cloth as a Dr. Sebi. He's in the Los Angeles area. He's an activist. He's heavily involved in the community down there. Very Afrocentric brother. Let me take that off the screen. So he will come back on with me at a later date, and we'll talk about vaccines and how vaccines are affecting our bodies, our minds, our spirits. We're going to get into those areas with that brother, and we're going to talk to him about his activism. I would have brought him on here today to talk about those issues, but out of respect for the family and out of respect for how he was feeling after talking to the family, I told him, let's get together. Prior to, after talking to him, I contacted him, Lions Den, told him that we need to do this story about what you see on the description of this video. South Carolina school told to pick cotton, sing slave songs on the field trip. I've been having a hell of a hard time with the technical stuff today, folks. I originally created a stream, got on that stream some kind of way. I got kicked out of the stream. Lions Den had some technical difficulties. I had to delete that stream and then rewrite it all over again. So that's why you saw a lot of weird stuff going on, time changes and all of that. Lions Den saying that he believes that it's just, once again, it's YouTube playing around with us as they often do. What I also want to do is make an announcement to everybody out there who supported the stream. We had a hell of a lot of people in here just on Thursday. And if you were a part of that family on Thursday, thank you for being here. We had about two, close to 300 people in the chat room. It was a Thursday. The topic, I think, really brought a lot of people out. Let me just say here too, YouTube is doing everything they can, I think, to impact smaller YouTubers. They just have a new rule, as you all know, or if you haven't known, you're finding out now, that if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, you can't live stream with your phone. And that's impacting a lot of people who are trying to grow their channels. It's causing people to use other means. It's a disappointment. Can you make an argument that YouTube is trying to suppress the number of people who are able to get their channels monetized? If that's what you're choosing to do, there could be some factors in that. But I think the factors is that they want to shut the voices of people up. YouTube is probably, I think, the only platform amongst other platforms where you have a voice to speak about issues, political issues, social issues, cultural issues in that vein, and talk about issues that the mass media, alphabet media, mainstream media will not talk about. And if they do talk about it, they don't go as in depth. They don't go deeper under the surface of different stories that are going on. Just like this story about what happened in South Carolina with the school and the kids. They're not going deep enough with these stories. So with that said, Lion's Den, introduce yourself to everybody. Give a little love in the chat room. Let's see who's in the chat room so far. People will come in as they come in. It's a Sunday. People are with family. People are probably checking out other streams that are going on around YouTube. But give a little love to everybody.
Hey, everybody, it's Lion's Den. I'm going to get a shout out to Hash TV, Anur, Petty Tyler, K Money, Spoken Words, Xander, Indy, Poetic Kells, Courtney Love, Dallas Slade, Soul Alchemy, let's see, Michelle, Only the Wise, Willie Lil John, and let's see, Chief and Shade, Brittany Duh, Emission, Moscow, and David DJ. That's also for info.
All right. Let me give a clap to everybody that's in the chat room that's here. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Tell the truth.
Okay, everybody, we're back. Lions Den, this is what I'm going to do. For folks out there, I'm going to play a video for you, a little bit of footage. Put a 1 in the chat room when this thing plays, if you can hear it. And if you can't, I'll play it back. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it, as it is terrific. It is just a terrific situation that took place. So let me go right ahead and play this video so we can use this video as the meat of where we're going in this discussion today.
Rock Hill Schools is now changing its tune after Fox 46 showed you video of 5th graders told to sing slave songs while picking cotton in a field. Students say it was part of a game, a lesson, not on slavery or Black History Month, but rather the Great Depression.
My ancestors picked cotton. Why would I want my son to pick cotton and think it's fun?
Before our story aired, the spokesman for Rock Hill Schools, Michael Frost, tried to stop us from running this, saying it's not newsworthy, and off camera, blaming this mom for not fully reading a permission slip which makes no mention of singing slave songs. Frost even stopped our interview when I asked why there's no mention of the history of slaves forced to pick cotton. What did you want to say?
Matt, that is not the topic of this interview. The interview is about the Great Depression. We're not going to go off script. You understand?
Okay, everybody. That's a little bit of clip. Some of you are probably familiar with that clip. Some of you may not be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to release, and here I go. Let's get into this Lion's Den. You had a chance to, and everybody out there, peace to you. Lion's Den, you had a chance to look over this story. I want you to give me your opinion as you were looking at the story. And anybody in the chat room who wants to give opinions will read what you have to say. This is very important. We are in the 21st century. I certainly send my child to go to school to get education, your math, your reading. However, the best education, I believe, is what you get at home, what your parents teach you, the values that you learn. If you have parents that are conscious that can introduce you to history and various things that you're not going to get at school. Now, they originally tried to present this as a field trip on the Great Depression. And the last I checked, the Great Depression has not a damn thing to do with picking cotton and singing slave songs, amongst other things. And I'm going to also play an audio from a situation that happened in another place, maybe a year or maybe even this year. There was another such incidents like this in this United States of America. So Lion's Den, what the hell is going on in the 21st century where we have teachers and schools promoting this type of thing, being very disingenuous and very honest to the parents of these kids by giving them a permission slip that was talking about something totally different. And as you heard the sister saying there, her ancestors might have picked cotton, but she doesn't want her child engaging in this kind of behavior. And we can teach our kids about the history, but do we really want our kids in school enacting things like this? And then there's been incidents too where you've had kids go on field trips and they've had people making them act like they're slaves. I don't like any of this type of stuff. It's crazy. What kind of world are we living in? Lion's Den, give me your opinions.
Yeah, Info, and thanks you guys. And thank you, Info, for coming in this show. I mean, this this despicable thing. When I watched that article you sent me, it's disgusted me for a couple of reasons. One, you brought children into a field trip, thinking it was just a field trip, and then you teach these children to pick a cotton. And I just like, number one, why would you even do that? And secondly, what's making it even more disturbing, Info, is that you got two black dudes, to me, I call them coons, for defending this thing. And I was just like, well, wait a minute, hold up. How are you going to defend something like this that our ancestors been done? And then one of the people saying, well, my ancestors used to do that. But just like you said, Info, that doesn't necessarily mean in the 21st century that your kids could even learn how to pick a cotton. And basically, that is straight up offensive and just unacceptable, in my opinion.
All right, but we know that it's unacceptable, but what messages do you think this is sending? We're constantly seeing things that are happening. You got with the Donald Trump administration, this whole Make America Great Again. I do know, and I've talked about this when I was on O'Shea's show, that since he's become president, there's been an increase in hate crimes, particularly towards Black people. And just because you don't get a video camera or see it on camera does not mean that it's not happening. I think we're growing up in a time, or we're living in a time where everybody is becoming conditioned by, if it isn't on video, then it didn't happen.
Right.
Only recently, since we've got camera phones and people have these type of machines on them, these type of gadgets, that people are able to record what's happening. See, this is what I'm trying to say, brother, is that it's not what is recorded that you should be. You should be, to me, even more concerned about what is not recorded.
Right.
Incidents that are happening that never get recorded, that we don't know about, which is one of the reasons why when you've had incidents like Walter Scott, Trayvon Martin, incidents like Aaron Gardner, incidents where Black men have been shot by cops. It's been caught on video. You had what's the young man from Pittsburgh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, East Pittsburgh. Oh man, I forgot his name myself.
I think it's Antoine. Is anybody in
Antoine
chat room?
Yeah, Antoine Rose. Yeah.
Antoine Rose. Anybody in chat room that can help us out with that? Antoine Rose was actually shot in the back 3 times. I think the cop shot him 3 times or so in the back while he was running. So he could not have been a danger to the police officer. And that young man ended up dead. And as you already know, Lions Den, there was no justice in that situation. The young man or his family did not get any justice paid to them. And these types of things go on senseless. So what I'm saying to you is that we're living in a time, a bizarro world, where weird things are happening. Our kids are being inundated at school. They're being influenced in ways that isn't in the best interest of our kids. Now, like the young lady said, she didn't send her son to school to pick cotton or reenact cotton picking. I think that the school should have, and my thing is, whoever the administrator was who approved this field trip, at the same time misled the parents, should lose their job.
I agree.
Because you misled the parents. You should have given parents the opportunity to say, no, I don't want my child participating in that. And on top of that, someone should have had the foresight to say, you know what, this may not be a good look for us as a school district, as a teacher, as a principal. Everyone involved has some responsibility in this buffoonery here. So this is, I think, a reflection of American society. We cannot, just like they haven't been able to get over the Civil War. The South hasn't gotten over it. America doesn't want to let us go from this whole notion that we are here to pick cotton. These are cultural insensitivities to our history. Take a person who is Jewish, this would never fly at all.
Right.
They would never, because their philosophy is that you never, never, never forget. And it seems like in the 21st century, and particularly Black people, when it comes to our history, it's disrespected. And many times it's not recognized. And then when they do want to recognize it, they do it in a disrespectful manner.
Yeah.
Lions, then go ahead and let's read some thoughts in the chat room, see what folks have to say, what's on their mind around the issue or any issue that's on their mind. Thank you.
Okay. K Money spoken words was she commented with respect to what you were saying earlier about YouTube. She said that this is why, in my opinion, YouTube is stopping smaller YouTubers from going live streaming, stopping the world from seeing firsthand what's going on. And I'm started reading, and one Raymond Tacular Forever says, I did not hear about this situation, but heard about the other situation. So more importantly, info is really they was mostly talking about what is YouTube was doing, trying to stopping smaller YouTubers from even posting live stream. And I believe it happened to me yesterday, because for those of you who don't know, not to change the topic, but I was at a rally for Nipsey Hussle, celebrate his life here in Nashville, and I even myself having problems with live streaming on YouTube, and I have more than 1,500 subscribers.
Yes.
So that is just crazy info.
Well, let me just say here, let me fix my cameras and stuff here. Once again, I'm going to keep repeating this. This is nothing but a way to suppress the voices of the people who come from the communities that we talk about. This is nothing but a way to keep us from expanding upon issues that mainstream media will not tackle. Now, this issue around what happened in South Carolina with schools, it's not getting big media press, but on YouTube, you can do that, okay? I think this is just another way. Like I said, you want to suppress the voices. So if people, think about it like this. If you've got a camera in your head, right? The camera in your hand gives you the power to go anywhere you are in the community. You can film what's happening right then and there. If there's police brutality, you can film it right there. It's right there for you to film. It's right there for you to get right up on it. So by doing this, they know that the smaller YouTubers are doing this sort of stuff that they're reporting right there. And they know that the smaller YouTubers are using their cell phones as a way to get their watch time and their hours and what have you. So they clearly want to suppress the growth of the smaller YouTuber, which is why it's important for us to support the smaller YouTubers, help build their channels, especially, I'm going to say right now, especially if what they're doing is relevant. Now, let me give a shout out to Miss Butler, who just gave us the super chat. I really appreciate that. Let me give you a clap. Thank you for that. All right, let's get back to it. Any other fine messages in the chat room? And everybody in the chat room that's come in, peace. Thank you for being here. Make sure you share this in your social media. And once again, I want to apologize to everybody. I know that most of you were looking forward to the interview around Nipsey Hussle. Tabiti was a brother that I had made a connection with. He knows the family. He knows Nipsey. He knew Nipsey. He was involved with Nipsey when he was a young man. And if I'm not mistaken, he also told me that his daughter goes to his school, and Nipsey was involved with the Marcus Garvey Center, community center, school. I mean, let me correct myself, school down there in the Los Angeles area. And we were supposed to come on. I was going to interview him. I believe it was going to be a powerful interview. And the brother told me, after consulting the family and how they're feeling right now, he didn't want him to do the interview. And from what I understand, once he told them that it would be an interview on YouTube, that's what really sort of got them rejected about it. Now, this is why I'm going to say this to everybody. I personally believe that I lost this interview because the family did not look favorable on YouTube. And this is why I think there are many in the community that may not look favorable on us, because when you have people on YouTube doing negative material, doing divisive material, doing this, talking about people in negative ways, it gets a reputation. The negative has 10 times, I think Les Brown said this, that a negative has 10 times the power over you than a damn positive. And so even though there are people on YouTube that are doing positive material, that are doing great jobs at reporting what's going on in the community, even when it comes to celebrity news and gossip, that are people that are reporting these things in a responsible manner, the people who do the trash and the nonsense, they make it bad for people who actually are doing really good material on YouTube. And as a result, you can lose opportunities because the minute someone says YouTube, they're going to focus on the negativeness of YouTube and not the positive. So I believe the family felt some kind of way when the brother said that it was YouTube, because they probably thought that, well, YouTube, they're doing hit pieces on my son, on our brother, on our son, on our cousin. You know what I mean? So yeah. This is just my own assessment that we as Black folks, as people on YouTube, no matter what your race is, we got to do a better job and be more responsible about how we present our channels, how we present our material, how we present and show reverence. Reverence is the word I'm trying to use when someone has fallen. Too often on YouTube, someone passes away, something happens to someone, we're quick to get into the gossip about it. Now, the video I did on Nipsey Hussle, the brother looked at it and he really enjoyed it. My take on that was that it was not a negative on Nipsey Hussle. My negative is that you could not trust the police in Los Angeles, and you cannot trust what's going on when that guy, from what I'm hearing, and as I said before, that dude was connected in other ways. There's more to this Nipsey Hussle situation that meets the eyes. And then I brought up the fact that there was this negative article that was released about this whole thing about toxic Black masculinity. We had to dispel that and get into that. Another reason why we've got to watch what we put out, Lions Den, is that you gave a report when you were looking at your Twitter. And that's why I said earlier, we don't always know if what we're reading and what we're getting in some so-called media is always true. But there was a report that Jay-Z was giving money, $15,000, to Nipsey Hussle's kids. Come to find out that that story is false. That's not a true story.
Okay.
That's some other fabricated, from what I understand, I was listening to one of a program yesterday, a reputable program, and they said that Jay-Z never made that declaration. Now, he may have to now, because there could be some pressure put on that brother to go and do something because his name has been put out there. But that's why I very carefully said on that day, we have to very carefully examine every and all things that are brought our way when it comes to situations like this. What are your thoughts, Lions Den?
Okay. I'm gonna say this, and basically, I think we as YouTubers, whether it's small or big YouTubers, need to really need to be careful what we posted now, because there's gonna be some mainstream people gonna fact check our sources now, and obviously that. And like I said, I should have done more research on that article. That was my fault. That was my bad. That won't happen again. Now, with that being said, Info, we was thinking about what we're doing as YouTubers. And obviously that the power that be is trying to silence our voices. And what you said is absolutely correct about what YouTube is doing. And I think that's probably the reason why I having problems yesterday did a live stream of because I went to an event called Nashville for Nipsey,
Okay.
and yeah, and I was there. I mean, it's all on my channel for those of you who are interested in looking it up. But you know, once I did the live stream, I've been noticing that I having problems, having reconnections, having buffering throughout the live stream, and I knew something was up, but I didn't even know what it was. But and since you told me that YouTube is doing this, and and make it two and two together. That's mainly the reason why that I have problems with my live stream yesterday, because it was a good event, and all of a sudden they keep reconnecting, and buffering. Then it cuts my feed out. So that's another statement. Another issue is that I think that, like you said, that people putting false information all the time, and if we don't do enough research on that information, then we ourselves be acting like a jackass. So at the end of the day, I think that the lessons learned is, as YouTubers, we have to make sure that our story is legitimate and that's factual. And from now on, my part, that every time all the notification news is coming up, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna do some research, 100, 200 times research to make sure before I post it out there that it's 100% correct. So, yeah, we definitely need to just focus on getting our story straight before we even post it out on our channels. Period.
Okay, brother, that's good points that you made. Let me just say this. Mary Jane is in the chat room. Thank you, sister. She posted that 2 Sacramento police will face no charges for shooting Stephen Clark. Yeah, I did a story on that. Now, I know that the brother has there's some issues there. I think a lot of people were having a hard time after finding out about his social media, the way he talked about Black women, and the young lady that he had a relationship with. She had disparaging things to say about Black women, and I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. It does not change the fact that he was killed in his grandmother's yard, body left there. As the grandmother accounted that his body was there for hours. They would not let the family see his body. He pulled out a cell phone. They say it was a gun. I don't get it. And I know some close things about that case because of I know why he was living at the grandmother's house. He was having this domestic problems with the girlfriend, which is why you didn't see a lot of her family. Excuse me. You didn't have a lot of her family rallying around. And I know that he's had some problems locally with the local police. He's been in and out of juvenile over the years. I know folks that worked with him personally. Won't get into any names or places, but I know some things. I think despite whatever you think about him as a person in terms of his social media, the way he thought about Black women, it does not change the fact that what the cops did to him was wrong, and the police in Sacramento got off for that. Okay? Just like Antoine Rose, the young man, in Pittsburgh, he was shot and that police officer got off. Eric Gardner, didn't the police get off in the Eric Gardner situation? Lyons did.
Well, right now, really, he didn't get off. He just basically had a mistrial, as I
Well,
know.
To me, that's just as wild, just as well, just as good as getting off, because it was a mistrial. Nobody's been given any charges, right?
Exactly.
Then let's look at Chicago. You have the brother that in Chicago who was shot. What was he? 16 times.
Yeah, Laquan McDonald case.
Laquan McDonald case. Now check this out. You know that whole situation with Messy Jesse Smollett. You know that the Chicago police blew the whole case. It wasn't the police. It was the district. It was the no. Let me correct myself here. Let me gather myself. It was the grand jury who blew the case. The police did everything that they were supposed to do in that situation, and the grand jury blew it. They tried to charge him with they overcharged him, which is why he got off, as well as other political behind the scene reasons why he got off. Because remember, Empire is filmed in Chicago. And from what I understand, listening to Pharaoh says that Empire brings a hell of a lot of money to the city of Chicago. So economics play a role in this, why they let him off. But then you got Ron Emanuel coming out saying how despicable it was that Smollett got off. However, Ron Emanuel should not be talking because he was the mayor overseeing the police department with Aquan McDonald when McDonald got killed like that. And as you know, Lions Den, Ron Emanuel was the mayor of Chicago. Him and the law enforcement there, they sat on the case for months.
Yeah.
Months and months and months and months and months and months and months ago. And they sat on the case. They sat on it for a long time because it was going to impact Ron Emanuel's political run as mayor again.
Yeah.
And Black folks and folks alike in Chicago voted for Ron Emanuel because they thought, well, he was a part of the Obama administration, so he's going to do right by us. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make a statement here. There has been no political politician. Let me ask you, when has the last time, don't give me since civil rights. Okay, now this is what I'm saying. Listen, I'm preference what I'm saying, and listen to what I'm saying, folks. Since the civil rights movement of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, all the Black folks that were involved, Andrew Young, okay, A. Philip Randolph, who was quite a man, quite a leader. Since those times that our ancestors and our forefathers and our grandmothers and grandfathers and great uncles were battling at that time, since that time, what has politics done for us today, particularly Black people, since that time? What has it done for us? What have we gotten on it? What is the Black caucus doing right now? Matter of fact, Lions Den, I was listening to a program, and Elijah Cummings and Conyers and all of that, they're still having a hard time getting the issue of reparation in committee to talk about it and to study it, not to implement it yet. Because in order to implement it, you've got to have a study, which I personally don't think, what the hell is there to study? We know that we deserve it, but I think to study it is to understand how do you put together a package to deliver reparations. And it's not just about cash, but there's other incentives that go along with that. They won't even get the HR 47 bill out of committee. They can't even get it in committee in this country. So while we do talk about ADOS, we got something to wrap our brains around. And then there's a question about whether Pan-Africanism is dead. And I'm going to tell you right now, Pan-Africanism can't work unless the Africans in the continent of Africa, and the people of in Africa, if the Africans are in on it, then it can work. It cannot work where just Black people in America are pushing it. It has to be a push-pull globally. So that's another issue. You know, there's so many different issues, along with what just happened in South Carolina with those young kids picking cotton. I mean, that is a part of our history of our ancestors because cotton was king in this country, right? That was the big staple that the South was producing off of free labor, our labor, which is why the issue of reparations is a no-brainer. You have any thoughts, Lion? Before I go to you, let me say shout out to Miss Mocha Bell of the X Squad in Spreaker.com. We're on Spreaker Live, Radio Live. Go ahead, 2 lines in and give a shout out to folks in the chat room. And if there's anything in there that you want to read, that's quite interesting as we or remain on and get close to our conclusion.
Okay. I would like to send a shout out to Ann 411, Brother Rob. And Brother Rob really said something that's basically interesting. He says Kim Fox, Black woman state's attorney, had to recuse herself from the case because she contacted someone in Messy Jesse's family. CPD trying to get her to step down. Wow. And I'm just reading a lot of things in the comments. One and 411 says McDonald cops got to switch to a plush as federal prison allegedly because he got beat up. So I'm gonna go back to what the brother, and this was disturbing because I think one of the brother wrote a comment info talking about you, Brother Moses. He says this. He said, "Whoa, hold on, info. I usually agree with a lot of your content. Your perspective helps me understand things in a new way, but I 100% disagree here." I wonder what what the issue was, what he was talking about.
Let me can you have that brother let us know what he disagrees with? Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I said something he didn't understand. What is it that he disagrees? Because I can always repeat what I said, and I can always amend what I said if what I said did not make sense. So have that brother, what is it that he disagrees with?
I think the first thing, we was talking about the South Carolina when the kids picking the cotton. I think that story, because he did ask in the chat room, he said, what's wrong with picking cotton?
Okay, let me just say this. Our ancestors picked cotton because they were in slavery. They didn't do it because they woke up and said, oh, we enjoy picking cotton. We know that Black people have been farmers, we've been in agriculture, and Black people were in sharecropping. We're sharecroppers. Now we know that to be true, yes. But nowadays, I don't send this is what he has to understand. Those kids, our kids go to school to learn, get education, and gain skills so that they don't have to pick cotton, so that they can elevate themselves to a different level of life. Like the woman said, the mother of one of the kids said, she said, my ancestors picked cotton. I'm not saying that we should forget what our ancestors did, but I don't think our ancestors went through all of that stuff so that we can make our kids pick cotton in the 21st. We're in the damn 21st century. That's my point. We're in the 21st century, and we're not in a time that we need to send our kids to school so they can take a field trip on picking cotton. Now, if I need to replay this video again, I'm going to do that to emphasize what we're talking about here. Let's play this video again.
Rock Hill Schools is now changing its tune after Fox 46 showed you video of fifth graders told to sing slave songs while picking cotton in a field. Students say it was part of a game, a lesson, not on slavery or Black History Month, but rather the Great Depression.
My ancestors picked cotton. Why would I want my son to pick cotton and think it's fun?
Before our story aired, the spokesman for Rock Hill Schools, Michael Frost, tried to stop us from running this, saying it's not newsworthy, and off camera, blaming this mom for not fully reading a permission slip, which makes no mention of singing slave songs. Frost even stopped our interview when I asked why there's no mention of the history of slaves forced to pick cotton. What did you want to say?
Matt, that is not the topic.
So there you have it. They said in that video that the kids were forced to sing slave songs. The kids were corralled to do that. And that the parents were told that it was a field trip on the Great Depression. What's wrong about it is that we know that that's our history. But to have kids doing that and singing slave songs as if it's something funny, something entertaining, without proper education behind what are these slave songs. And then to have them do that and leave out the fact that Black people were made to do it. Like I said earlier, no one was volunteering to do that. That is what's problematic about this, because the kids were not given a proper education around what picking cotton was about and how it impacted Black people's lives. One, they were slaves. Two, they were made to do that labor. Three, they weren't singing because they were happy about picking cotton. Matter of fact, if you know your history, when Black people were singing songs during that time, they did it as a way to get around and to use secret codes to tell other slaves how to escape from the plantation to go up yonder to north. So a lot of those songs were about teaching others how to escape. The songs weren't about, oh, we just happy to be slaves and happy to pick cotton. That's always been the misnomer. They wanted the people to think that they were happy about it. They weren't happy about living in those conditions. And so if you're going to give kids a proper education about the issue of picking cotton as it relates to history and Black people, you got to tell the whole history, bad and good, if there is any damn good. And the fact of the matter is, to have those kids doing that. Matter of fact, according to the video that you just saw, the news video, the kids were made to do it. They were made to sing the songs, and it was made to be something fun. That is, for all purposes, that is manipulating history and teaching our kids that there was nothing wrong with slavery, that slavery was simply something that Black people were happy to be involved in and happy to sing about. So if the brother is in the chat room and he had a problem with what I said, I think I explained myself a little bit more in detail. So Lions, anyone in the chat room have anything they want to say or rebut what I just said? What's going on?
Well, you know, Brother Moses, who we was talking about earlier, he did respond to this. He said, you're not wrong. I just disagree that the slave reenactment trip should result in firing. In fact, the error I see is that it doesn't go far enough.
Well, brother, is this Moses Jenkins?
He just go by his Brother Moses.
Okay, I thought it was Moses Jenkins. Let me just say this. If you see, I don't know what skin he has in the game. I don't know if he has a child, a daughter, or a son, but I have a daughter. If my daughter brought home a slip that said that the field trip was for her to go to something that I approve as a parent, and then I find out later on that they had my daughter in some field, picking cotton, making her sing songs, without there being any true historical context to it, I'm going to have a problem with that. And as a parent, I'm going to raise hell as other parents have raised hell. And out of raising hell, I'm going to want to know who's responsible for this. Because you're misleading the parents. And as a parent, I should have the right to be able to say, I'm okay with my daughter or my son going on this trip and doing this. And I should have the right to be able to say, I don't agree with it. The parents were not given the choice. That's the point, brother. You should be, whether you disagree with me or not, is not really important. What's important is that as a parent, you should be given the choice to make a decision for your child, and your child is a minor. And you know, when you send your kids to school, they're going to listen to what their teachers and their peers tell them. Does that make any damn sense what I said?
Well, info, he responded that this is Moses Jenkins. So, yeah.
All right, brother Moses Jenkins, do you want to come on the panel and talk to me about it? I got a lot of respect for this brother, but we can let's have a conversation, brother. I want to play something else while I bring Moses Jenkins on. There's another despicable audio that I want everybody to hear. See, this is not just what's happening in South Carolina. This happened somewhere else. I want you all to listen to this while I mute my mic. Listen to this, folks. This is happening in other parts of the country. Listen.
Over a field trip, a couple said their child came home with horror stories after she and some other students were called racial slurs and chased through the woods. I'm Irene O'Connor.
And I'm Eric Parker. This was all part of a slavery reenactment, but the family says it crossed the line. They filed a complaint.
Can you all hear that?
Put
a 1 in the chat room if you can hear it.
Good morning. Well, this all goes back to a field trip from the Hartford Magnet Trinity College Academy to a place called Nature's Campus in Massachusetts. And during that slavery reenactment, students said that the counselors there—
If you can hear that, everybody, put a 1 in the chat room.
Even using the N-word during this reenactment. Now, one couple says they want an apology from the district and saying that if these field trips continue, that portion needs to be left out.
The fact that they use the N-word. I mean, how dare you do that, say that to my child and call it an educational experience? How dare you say that to any child?
Sandra and James Baker have been battling the Hartford School District for nearly a year, one they've now taken directly to the school board. To Nature's Classroom in Massachusetts. At the time, their daughter was a 7th grader at the Hartford Magnet Trinity College Academy. The couple says on the 3rd night of a 4-day trip, there was a slavery reenactment. They say their daughter and her classmates had to pretend to be on a slave ship, fit cotton, along with pretending the instructors were their masters. The couple adds the program told the students they didn't have to participate in the Underground Railroad segment, but only told them 30 minutes before it was to start. Sandra Baker says they filed complaints with the State Department of Education, the Human Rights Commission, and the Office of Civil Rights.
It's a town of people of color. Really? You could not, I mean, Hartford, you could not see that something was wrong with this?
Now, the Bakers tell us their daughter no longer goes to school here. We did contact a spokesperson with the school district, but we were told that they would not be commenting on a pending lawsuit. Also, we reached out to Nature's Classroom to see if they would talk to us about that program, that Underground Railroad and the slavery reenactment, and we haven't heard back from them. We're live at the mobile newsroom in Hartford. Matt McFarland, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
Okay. We got my man, brother Moses Jenkins on board with us. Let me turn these volumes down here.
Peace, brother.
All right, brother. Glad to have you on. I want to get your perspective. So we're going to listen to what your perspective about these issues or this particular issue is. Go right ahead, brother Moses Jenkins.
All right. So first of all, peace, man. Thanks for bringing the valuable content, man. It's finally something worth discussing going on, man. There's a lot of things that are happening, and some of them are, really tearing away at the fabric of our hope as we look and we try to find these different, solutions to the problems in education, problems in policing, problems in economics, problems in attaining political power. And then to take that strength that we find in these small victories that we can get one after the other, and then kind of measure them on the scale against, the things that our competitors, our rivals are doing. And in this case, it's more in line with the education and what will be our enduring legacy that we can create, our foothold when it comes to education, the impact that we can have. And here, I think the administration did try to take a bold step. As you see in the video, they were people who were actually a part of a reenactment. They had like the 1920s, what would you call it? Like a convict leasing program, guard type suits on. And they tried to take at least a step towards connecting the students of their school to the material and the conditions outside of their city. So that Rock Hill community and all of the cotton fields that they have. I used to live in Charlotte, and the Rock Hill was right up the street and doing business there. I used to always drive around, and the thing that really used to boil my blood was when you look at all of that land and those cotton fields and everything that's available. After the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, even unto today, African Americans and those who actually labored on those lands still don't own them. And they're still operating and creating value and creating surplus value for the people, the owners who still live and their descendants. And they've been able to pass along that inheritance for so long. And so the story that really needs to be told, the information that really needs to be shared is still being swept under the rug. And so in our generation, I guess, seeing brothers like your content that goes a little bit deeper and challenges the status quo. I agree this is a strong topic. I agree that the information was watered down. Even the reenactment was weak. The way that the media portrayed it and some of the responses of the parents just seems to be left field. But I understand when you're having a political battle against a school board and you want to call out their error, then you have to find the technical arguments. What did they technically do wrong? So I can see the appeal towards parents. Hey, they didn't even put this on the permission slip. I didn't know that this was going to be it. But the intentionality is what I'm looking at. And the ability for us, the Africana studies departments and that movement didn't come overnight. And it's still a challenge that we have today, trying to get true Africana studies, even inside the universities, and to be accredited. So not just an elective course, but something that is you should take an Africana studies course. Even in college, we struggle. But now that that's there, hopefully those who have an Africana studies and they want to go into the education space, they will at least have the perspective to bring a more enlightened position into the elementaries and into the middle schools and into the high schools. But right now, the curriculum is still 99% washed with everybody else's content except ours. And at this one attempt, this small school, it seems like they did try to take a very genuine effort towards recreating some of that real memory of this is what African Americans right here in Rock Hill were experiencing during the Great Depression. And so the happy-go-lucky songs, I just don't think that you can stop kids from being able to sing and have a good time while they're doing anything. They didn't have the whips to actually give them that education. And like you said, it didn't go, I think we both agree that it didn't go far enough. It's Black History Month. You're in the middle of the month. And now you got them exposed to something that is real tangible, that they can see and they can feel and they can touch. And that cotton picking experience was one of degradation to the human soul. Their productive capacity was not recognized. And then after that, they weren't allowed to operate as citizens, even inside of South Carolina. So all of that messaging that was missed, I think, is their opportunity area. But for the action of at least trying to connect their students to something as serious as this content was, I think they should be applauded. They may have got it wrong, need a slap on the hand, but to fire them, like I was looking and trying to find out, I remember Rock Hill. I'm not sure if this school, I didn't get that far, is Black administrators, but I do remember that there was a whole lot of Black administrators. I would say at the very minimum, they're trying to do their best. The fact that it rubs some parents wrong, okay, you could take your slap on the wrist, handle that behind PTA or whatever it is. But for the actual act itself of I'm trying to get my students to connect to this information that is so vital to us, I think that they actually did a good job, which is why I would disagree that they should be fired. I do agree that it missed the mark. And how you start to connect it to the broader terms, the broader social things that are happening right now, I think that's even more valuable. How you can use these points and start to look at xenophobia being created. Look at the leadership that's from the top down, from that office all the way across. See how it connects to folks in the chats. They're saying the experience of other nationalities or other civilizations and plunging them and their children into this education or this type of education may not be the most appropriate, but look at its impact. Would the other families stand up for it? I think there's another silver lining, if I can just add right there. And I know I'm a little bit long-winded, but with your blessing, that second one would just be the other silver lining is as parents start to stand up and say the curriculum needs more work. This is one of those cases where, yes, the curriculum does need more work, and we're applauding the parents who actually stood up to try to fight back against the administration when they felt like this education was inappropriate. So that's the second silver lining, and I'll leave it right there.
No, brother, definitely continue to speak more on the issue. See, the problem is, though, I hear what you're saying, that our kids need an education. Let me pull my volumes up here. I hear what you're saying when you say that our kids need an education. They need to have tangible education where they can get an understanding of what has happened in the past. I get that. But see, the problem is that I'm having with this issue is that if I'm a parent of a child, the school has to be responsible for letting me know as a parent what type of field trip this is going to be, so that I have a choice to say, I want my child to participate in this, or I don't want them to participate in this. The reason why I say someone should be held responsible for this, because it is the administrators, it is their job to communicate and convey to me as a parent what's going on with what you're doing with my child. A child is a minor and they're not adults. They can't make adult decisions, and they can't go to school and just tell the teachers and the principals and all this exactly, this is what I'm going to do. You're sort of the child is sort of in the custodial care of the school. They're charged with a certain responsibility. And my thing is, in the 21st century, because we know how we are degraded, our history is so marginalized. With what they were trying to do with these kids in this situation wasn't the most effective way to do it. And if they were going to do something in which they would learn something, it should have been carried out a hell of a lot better and executed a bit. That's just where I stand. We got brother BMT that's just come on board. What are your thoughts, brother? And by the way, brother Moses Jenkins, you said that you spent some time in South Carolina, so I'm not going to set up here. Both of you know that part of Charlotte a hell of a lot better than I do. So I'm not going to pretend to sit up here and say I know more about what's going on the ground than either one of you brothers. But I do want to get to some facts and truth here. Brother BMT, go right ahead.
Well, Charlotte is North Carolina. That's not That's not South Carolina.
Yeah, it's like right there from Rock Hill, like 10-minute drive.
Okay, so that's definitely not South Carolina. First off, ain't no Negro child should ever be in no fucking cotton field picking cotton. I will never allow anybody to ever disrespect my people to tell us to go pick cotton. Never again, never again, never again. Literally, that is so disrespectful. I'm not sure if any of y'all have children. I'm not sure if y'all ever picked cotton before. I'm not sure if y'all ever actually been out there in the field and pick okra or any of those stuff before. Have any of y'all ever done that before? For hours. I have. It is very demeaning. It's very hard work. And the fact that I don't see them telling white kids, hey, let's go reenact the Jewish Holocaust. I don't see them telling Chinese kids, let's go reenact an internment camp. But y'all find with black kids going to go work in the cotton field to go reenact that and get called nigga. See, that's what black people be missing me with. There is no learning experience in that. There is none. Here they have no problem shutting down an all black boys school. Mind you, you remember we talked about that info, and that's a whole Afrocentric.
That's right.
Teaching. But they quick to shut that down. But you telling me y'all find with black children in the field picking cotton, getting called nigger. Or the other thing, I live in the state, and but I showed the evidence that the state does not enforce racial segregation and issues with racial tension. I showed you that. The law doesn't step in for that. So how a black person gets treated in school, that wasn't no doggone thing for teaching or learning. What do you learn? What do you learn by being called a nigger by white kids and white people? What do you learn from that? See, this is where y'all have to miss me with that bullshit. But there was no learning in that. Everybody down to the principal should be getting fucking fired. Excuse my language, but everybody needs to get fired. Because see, it's always okay for the black man and his family to take disrespect. Ain't no parent ever would have their child be disrespectful in such a manner. You do that to a white child, say, hey, let's go reenact the Salem witch trial. Let's take some of our white girls and go do that shit. I promise you, everybody would be getting a lawsuit. Y'all got to miss me with that bullshit. I'm Geechee Gullah. I would never make, y'all must don't know, picking up cotton, it got thorns, thistles. The reason why the black slaves had to sing was to actually get themselves mindfully through the pain. If they couldn't pick a certain amount of cotton, they get whipped and beat and then get told to go pick some more cotton. So they mentally were trying to motivate themselves. If y'all know anything about the human psyche, if you singing or you're humming something or you're keeping a certain type of pace with everybody else, you're not thinking about it. So mindfully, when you're running, that's why they say keep a pace. If you're singing, you're keeping a pace, you're keeping a rhythm. They weren't singing because let's sing it and have a good time. Kids weren't singing about, listen, kids don't even like picking up their own room. So all of a sudden, kids like picking up cotton for fun? The fuck? No. You could have said, let's go to a pumpkin patch. Listen, I've been out to the cotton fields for a high school thing, but they didn't tell us to pick no cotton. They showed us the fields. They pointed at them. They said, this is where this plantation building was at, which actually they even let the black parents and everybody knew. See, I've been to those type of field trips. It is a very nerve-shackling type of feeling, especially for the black kids. Some black teenagers say, I don't feel like going up to that plantation. They said, we understand. If y'all want to, y'all can go down there. Now, the white kids and some of the Confederate kids, they didn't mind going up there. They had a good-ass time. But some of the black kids, they said, fuck that. Why the hell I want to go up there to the plantation? We still got plantation building that's still standing tall that we got to look at. The fuck I look like I give a shit about a cotton field. Do y'all not understand when the cotton gin machine was made, that was worse for the black man? That was the worst thing that came out? So when y'all, I ask y'all, do y'all do any type of research before y'all say this type of ignorant shit? I got family who has blisters and burns and different stuff from trying to scoop up and get and pick up a certain amount. I got sharecroppers in my family. That is nothing a baby should be out there singing songs. I'm sure those white people are getting some kicks, making our children run around like that, scaring them, putting fear in them. But let us try doing that in their neighborhoods. Let us try doing some reenactments of black people running around, cutting off their head like the Haitian revolt. I promise you that won't be a fucking game. You see, it's okay to fuck with the Negro. But see, but when we do that to them, it's a problem. I told y'all how it is in my state. Y'all think it's a game. That's 2 incidents so far. Actually, that's a third. That would be the 3rd incident. But I showed you about the school, all-boys school getting shut down. Now you see the cotton shit happening. Now you see them chasing them doing other reenactments. Come on now. Ain't no teaching or learning in this. People just getting, they're just bold about it. Ain't no learning experience for no black baby picking up cotton. You could have literally got some black people from Beaufort and had them come up there and actually teach them some heritage culture. Literally, they got websites where they could have had an Afrocentric teaching. Literally, they could have gone down to Charleston museums of African art where they could have watched African dancing. We got a whole block just for blacks, just to learn about their culture. So we ain't gonna say, well, going out to the field was the closest thing they can actually learn about their ancestors. No, we're not. No, it's not. Let's go ask some Jews. Let's go reenact this, the Holocaust. You see how quick that school will get shut down. Y'all got to stop with that stuff, man. I don't know what some of y'all political or y'all soul is at right now, but y'all might want to do some soul searching. But that ain't nothing. That is very. I'm shaking because I wonder, are y'all truly my brother's keepers right now? Because I got to understand, this is something that they do to our kids on a regular. We still didn't get proper justice for Dylan Roof. We still just had an officer shoot a black man in cold blood and then try to plant a gun. Y'all don't understand these kind of things that are happening in South Carolina? So all of a sudden you're going to tell me a cotton field, running little black children around the field, that was something for learning experience in my state? No, we're not gonna play that game. We ain't gonna play that game. White people like going up to our churches and taking pictures where a white boy shot up the church. Oh wow, this is where they shot the church. Let's take some photo pictures. Like it's a fucking goddamn tourist shit. That's why I said I don't know. I'm a little bit steamed and a little bit hurt that we think that that's some type of learning thing to learn from. That's not. If they don't do it to any other race, why would we want that to happen to ours? What could you honestly tell me we will learn? If you want to go learn about hymns and old Negro spirituals, you could have gone to an AME church. I believe they got them in the hymn books. If you want to learn about dancing, you could have gone to a dancing African liberal arts school. I could have gone there. If you want to go look at a field, they literally could have go get some sharecrop black farmers, and they could have showed you the fields. But not like that. That wasn't no teaching. That was just doing some downright evil, mean, disgusting, soulful, godless shit. I would never put any of y'all children through that. If they did that to my child, I would be at that school knocking people out. All right, I'm gonna put myself on mute. Y'all can say how y'all feel, but I don't play that game.
Brother Info, can I respond to BMT, the esteemed?
Right now and just say the intent of this video from the very jump start when Lionsden and I came on here is that I personally am against and did not like what I was seeing in the video, which is why I played it and emphasized the fact that I felt that someone had to be held accountable for what they had these kids doing. And I did not feel that it was appropriate for a lot of the reasons that Brother BMT speaks about. I'm gonna leave it at that right now, come back to this and let Brother Moses Jenkins say his piece. And then I want Lions Den at some point in time to come in and say what he wants to say. So Brother Moses Jenkins, you've got the floor, brother.
All right, thank you. And thank you for coming on, BMT. I can see the passion just ringing from you. Like I said before, I think on a previous build, that Gullah Geechee, it comes out, man, and just that South Carolina, North Carolina, all of that energy is important, right? Because if there is anywhere in this great nation where they are still battling some of the negative or demonic energies that are still out there, it's got to be right there, stomping ground A of the Daughters of the Confederate, who have done everything in their power to control the education, the society, the voting bloc, everything that you can see and feel and touch down there is still live and evident. So your Confederate monuments that are still up and that are the reenactions that they have on their protests, their nights, your Tiki Torch movements, your museums that are still available, your, like it's a shrine to a time where African Americans were underneath the boot. That legacy of slavery is enduring. It's still inside the education curriculum and it goes unchallenged. The knocking out can happen any day, Brother BMT. Any day you can go up there to the school and see what they're teaching and see how it's not connecting African Americans or their students to any part of education that identifies their consciousness. You bring up that they shut down the all-black school. That is just another tactic when you're dealing with your competitors and rivals. But on en masse, our babies are being indoctrinated by information that should make you want to knock somebody out. That's any day of the week. So I can understand the pain though. So you hear a brother when I speak, and I speak on a lens of we got to do something different. And if this ruffles feathers enough to get people to actually want to change that legacy of slavery from continuing to go forward, then all right. The silver lining of the parents who actually stood up against their school board and said this is not okay. That's what I am for. If you don't like it, stand up and do something. So I like that rallying cry. Number one, you may not like the instrument that they did. You can name all these other things that they could have done, Buford and Charleston, and bring people in. I said I applaud them for trying to connect somehow. If they got it wrong, they got it wrong. Slap them on the wrist, PTA, but stand up and fight for it. So I don't disagree with your passion there. But where I do start to find myself losing you is when you make the statements about ignorance or not being rooted or in did you do your research first? And it makes me want to ask, are y'all truly my brother's keepers just for having a different opinion from yours? Now on this part, we could probably disagree till we're blue in the face, but your soul that you say needs to, that my soul may need to do more searching, your soul is showing a glimmer of weakness right there, brother. I am your brother too and through. Been there riding around and saw the big trucks parked outside of the freeway that still have their choppers ready and willing to go to war with anybody in Charleston. I can see the non-urgency that our people still face, their complacency to just go to work and not have any other challenge when all of the threats of white supremacist terrorism are still operating with autonomy right outside of their major cities and throughout their political sphere, throughout their administration. I don't see the nigga. I've watched a couple of videos on this, but I did not hear them call a Negro. I didn't hear them call them a Negro. Maybe it doesn't need to be said, but we know that in the societies outside of Charlotte and Beaufort or wherever it is that you want to talk about down there, that is the running sentiment. So your passion against them, I applaud. But to look at me as if I'm not your brother for just having spoken an opinion and contrary to what you feel is yours, I don't. I do have 2 kids. Honestly, I think there's a lot that they can learn from that, since this is the only question that you actually posed. What could they learn from it? When it was the 20s and they started moving away from these agrarian societies, they had a certain skill set which was still predominantly agrarian. Yes, the machine made it harder because now resources is being depleted. I don't need my slaves to do this. I need my slaves to do this. There's a lot that you can dive into it. So I would only rebut and say, like what? But from there, what could we honestly learn? I'll be short and then I'll give it back. I'll give back up the mic because I can feel my tensions rising as well, brother. From the miseducation of the Negro to the blueprint for Black Power to what is one of my most recent ones? It doesn't matter, but staying read up is a part of my everyday structure. Having these conversations with my children is one thing, but I live next to a cotton field and every day I'm tempted to even have my own children come with me to go pick some cotton so I can at least be the exchanger of information with them about that experience. Yes, it's not a school board. Yes, it is something that a parent can do. And I do have that backing, but how the community came together is a strong lesson. How individuals experience that cotton, those thorns, those boll weevils, that attitude, that being told what to do, to not be able to use your own productive capacities. All of these things you can read in a book and it may not have its lasting impression. Having experienced one for oneself may be something that can open eyes. Right now, we know that we have a struggle against the education system. We have a struggle against those who are in power who would want to be dismissive or to keep our story muted. And if there's anything that we can do to make that change, I think we are responsible for it. We will not get it right every time. We will continue to fight amongst the procedures and the nuances of how we do this. But I agree that this is the time, the perfect opportunity to start fighting back. Peace.
Okay. Lyons, didn't you have anything you wanted to add, brother? Great points, brother Moses Jenkins. Anything you wanted to add, Lyons?
Yeah, I listened to what both the brothers are saying, and I think the problem with the situation is that they keep bringing back, we really don't really know that about the history that we're coming from, and to teach the kids how to pick cotton. And I agree with I think with the first person that was speaking about it.
That's brother
let's just say how
BMT. That's brother BMT.
Yeah, BMT. I agree with what he says that, you didn't tell the white kids to, teach about the Holocaust or what the Japanese has been taught about the concentration camps. And the thing of it is that you basically trying to bring back the negative history that we've been through since slavery. And this is what's so concerning, because this is why I say when I saw the mother that was crying when a child just had to pick cotton, and the 2 guys that was defending that, saying it was sold about the Great Depression. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What does this have to do with teaching the children how to pick cotton? It doesn't make any sense. And so my point is that why would you teach these kids that about picking the cotton and learn how to pick cotton from the thorns? And obviously that we do not want to see anything like that, because this is basically learning from what happened during slavery. So my point is that, you know, let's just, and I agree with the first brother was saying that we cannot just teach these kids how to pick cotton, and all of a sudden, basically, you know, knowing that it was part of our slavery, and that's basically disrespecting our ancestors when we doing that. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Let me just say here, I feel the passion of BMT, and I feel the passion of brother Moses Jenkins. At the end of the day, I'm a parent. I have a daughter. I've never, to answer BMT's question, I've never had to pick cotton. And thank God I've never had to, because my ancestors who did so, who busted their asses, who worked hard, who battled this country, they did what they did so that someone like myself would not have to experience that. I don't think that the generations that came before us went through what they did for us to be doing the same thing that they had to go through and do in the 21st century today, what they did in the time that they lived. So he's right. The thorns and the punishment of picking cotton takes a toll on one's hands. I've seen, I've heard, I've read, and I've seen documentaries with folks who experienced it, and they talk about how dangerous it was to their skin. We do know that there's the history in which if slaves didn't pick a certain amount of cotton, they could be whipped, mistreated poorly. BMT did expand upon that, how they had a quota that they had to make when they picked cotton. And if it was not made, they would be punished severely for not making that quota. Brother BMT is correct that they did sing songs you sing to get through something that is stressful. But I had also added earlier that a lot of those hymns and songs were also messages and codes for ways for people to escape. That was also a part of it as well. But what he's saying is right. Psychologically, when you're singing and you're doing something, you're trying to distract yourself from that which is causing you pain, anguish. Black people went through a hell of a lot. And that's why I opened up earlier and said that in the 21st century, why do we have our kids actually physically picking cotton? What kind of message is it trying to send? Are they trying to bring us backwards and devolve us back to something? Is that how they want to see us truly? And so I feel that if I send my child to school, I said earlier, the first education that you get is at home. So I, as a parent, should be able to teach my child certain history and certain values. If I know history, I should teach my child certain things. But I don't send my child to school for them to take her or he on a field trip, portray that field trip as one thing to me as the parent, and then it becomes something else that I may not agree with. I certainly do not want my child in the hot sun, picking cotton, singing songs, and then they have no true comprehension or understanding of what those songs mean, and the fact that Black people, our ancestors, in some cases were killed, punished severely, and they didn't make a quota. And I said earlier, they were not happy about picking that cotton. They didn't volunteer to do that job. They were made to do that job forcefully. That's where I stand on it. That was the reason why we originally did this video, to look at this and say, what in the hell is going on in the 21st century when these type of incidents are being reported? What does this mean, and what in the hell is going on? That was my position. I'll rest there. If anyone else wants to render the mic.
Yeah. told y'all that it's a real war out here for the black man's soul. I apologize if I came hard at you, Brother Moses. But I ride hard for my people. I'm not saying you ride any less harder. We perish for a lack of knowledge there is, people. Nobody would ever allow, no other people would ever allow their children to reenact some type of suffrage that their ancestors went through to learn. I just don't see Native Americans driving and having a good time talking about the Trail of Tears. I don't see that. I don't think none of y'all do. I don't see Jewish people, you know, putting on white and black stripes and then building a shed and saying, let's pretend like we're in the oven. And then we get a white person to pretend to put on a Nazi suit and say, all right, say goodbye. Y'all not know the impact that that can have on a mental psyche. You know, what do they say? What happens if you scare a child in a certain type of manner? It stays with them because that psychological conditioning you do to them. That wasn't no type of teaching. That wasn't no damn type of learning experience. If you was going to teach something, you could have got somebody to teach it and say, hey, let's take a tour. I have taught Afrocentric studies. I am Geechee Gullah. I have no problem taking a class of kids to the doggone swamps, teaching them about how to read moss, to know how to travel north, how to find food and scavenge. Yes, we can do that. They want to learn about Underground Railroad? Yes, we can actually show them. There's a trail path that they can walk. But saying that they, see, I told y'all, HR 420, a bill that is being passed to change Black history to, they weren't slaves, but indentured servants or servants, as they want to say it. You don't teach at all like that. You want to say we're equal, but that's not no fucking equal. I don't want no white man teaching my kids how to run from them and pretend like they are a slave. I don't get that kind of pass. And I'm never going to give them that type of pass. Again, they have no problem shutting down, trying to shut down an all-Black boy school in my state. They have no problem shutting down minority schools. But see, they don't have a problem having our Black children pretend to be slaves for their enjoyment. See, y'all, there's no balance to that. Ain't nobody said, you know, I think this is probably a bad idea. Why are we doing this to them? But see, they know that Black people won't buck back. Had that been Muslims and they've been pretending some kind of thing that was, this, hey, let's pretend like we're going to walk over the Quran. I promise you that school would have been shut down. Black people, we got to start speaking up on things like this because that is no laughing matter. It hurts me because it was in my backyard. My wife didn't tell me to stop. I would have gone to that field and burnt that whole field down. I don't want to see no Black children in no damn field picking no goddamn cotton. They couldn't have said, hey, y'all want to go pick strawberries? We got peach orchards. You know, I mean, slaves were doing other things than just picking cotton. But they chose cotton for a reason. How many white kids got chased around like that? Did it affect them? See, the thing about it is we've been conditioned to accept these types of, means of bullshit. I told y'all can go look up stuff about the things that go down in my state openly that they keep getting caught in. They don't give a shit about getting caught in these type of acts. But we were more worried about these doggone rappers and all this other shit. But see, they doing stuff on a micro level to our kids. So when they become adults and they do something to them when they're an adult, there's no pushback. Because it's called conditioning. You want to teach them, call some black veterans in. Let them teach about some black history and what they went through Jim Crow. Trust me, there's plenty of them still alive. There's still some people who came through the dust crop era. Yes, I know about all that. History didn't change that quickly, that fast. There are plenty of museums still out there that people that are open and free. They didn't have to go to no goddamn field. There was no studying in that. That was a false narrative. They were singing happy songs, but they were having a good time. That's a false narrative. But see, they'll tell your children that your people were happy being slaves. They weren't sad. What does that tell your kids? I don't know why the adults are mad about slavery. I mean, my teacher said it was something nice. They were having fun. You get what I'm saying, Info? Because when you're telling a child that, it confuses the message.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening, brother.
I want y'all to understand that. If I go to George's house and when he sends his child to school and I confuse the message to his child, he's like, yo, I didn't teach you that. Where you learning this shit from? Well, my teacher showed me that this is what they're saying. No, that's not how it is. Let me show you the true books what happened. This is why I tell y'all black people, get y'all asses to that goddamn school. They're not going after the adults anymore. Nah, fuck that bullshit. I'm going after your kids. Because if I get your kids, see, they kill off the men, but they go after the women and the children. See, they already going after the women and getting them into all kind of crazy bullshit. But see, now they're going after the kids, saying, don't worry, it's okay. Stop being so pro-black. Stop being so about black this, black that. Listen, it's okay to integrate. It's okay if you like this and that. Hey, why you complaining about slavery? I literally had a person on my damn panel who told me openly he has no problem with white people calling him nigger. It's just a word. Then he even had his white friend call into the show. He said, well, I call him nigger. He don't have a problem with me calling him nigger. I was like, wow. You're serious? Yeah, I call him nigga all the time. Do y'all not understand? That's a full-grown teenage boy, a 19-year-old boy, saying he don't mind me called nigga by a white boy. That's how they get you comfortable with them saying these type of talking points and these type of things to your people. It hits you we in warfare, y'all. Warfare. I don't see them doing that to the Asians. Hey, let's go practice in the internment camp. We're gonna put y'all in the gate and we're gonna, make sure y'all walk around in there. Y'all can't come out for the rest of recess. They ain't gonna do that to no Asian kids. But they'll do it to our kids, but they don't want black people to ever think that, listen, you better never buck back against me. You see a white man, he's a cop, you better never say nothing back to him. It's indoctrination on a very dangerous level. There's a reason why they always take the kids and either put them in the field or they beat them and put them in the house and make them afraid. That way they'll never, ever buck back to that white woman and that white man. If I wanted them to learn about this shit, I would say, Brother Moses, what are you doing? I'm not doing it on Saturday. Okay, then we're going to bring 23 kids to you. Me and you going to walk these kids and we're going to show them some stuff, some black history culture. That's fine. We could do that. Why can't we get our own people to teach our own? But y'all, we don't mind grabbing a white man and teaching him how to be afraid of him. Ain't no fucking teaching. And I ain't no hit or miss. That's straight up a diss to my ancestors. I didn't see none of our people who got away from slavery. Hey, I'm gonna teach you how grateful you should be. Did y'all ever hear any black people back in the day saying, I'm gonna teach you how grateful you should be? I'm gonna take you to the slave fields, to the old slave fields, and you're gonna see what your great granddaddy went through. No, they didn't do that to their kids because they already understood that the mental conditioning was already been damaged and done to them. Shit, I'm a Christian. You don't see me trying to reenact the crucifix of Jesus. I ain't trying to take no nails and put it in my hand and figure out, hey, what did Jesus go through? Ow. No. That was a sick game, man. And then it happened again where they chased him around and called them what? Nigga. Well, really the ER one. And they had no problem saying it out their mouth to those kids. At nighttime. To reenact the patty runs that they have in the black neighborhoods when the white man will come through their homes late at night and try to run a black man out the house to kill him or burn down their houses and stuff. What teaching was that? Run, nigga, run? These are some sick, devilish people. And I had to see their black and white asses and deal with them. Black men, they pissed me off, but they were fine with that shit. Well, I don't see a big deal. Fuck y'all. Those white people, listen, no. We got it real bad over here, man. I ain't trying to attack y'all brothers, but I'm trying to let y'all know, if we don't start standing for something, we're going to have some fucking problems. And it ain't coming after us adults anymore. They're not coming after us men.
Well, the way I see it, brother, we already are in trouble. When you look at everything that's happening, there's an all-out attack on black male masculinity. And you are correct. What they do is they try to go after soft targets. They go after children. They go after our women. And they try to change the narratives. Just like, for example, when they try to change the language in the books, in the history books, right? And use terms instead of it being slaves, they use other terms because they want to wipe out history and then condition the next generations to believe that, oh, slavery was just something that people were happy about because they changed the narratives and how it's written in the history. And I think that's on a psychological level, they're attacking us. And there is an attack on Black consciousness across this country. And we're seeing it. And that's why this situation in South Carolina, and this situation with the school, these kids, and what has happened in other places similar, this is letting us know that they are trying to get the minds of our young people to reshape them. And we are under attack. You're absolutely right. Brother George Macomb is on board with us. He has listened to what has been said and what's been going on. I want him to render his thoughts on this issue or any issues that are on his mind. Brother George, great to have you here.
Peace to everybody on the panel. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like BMT's passion. I like my brother Moses. I think the problem that we're having is all of us on this panel, because we're conscious of things, we understand what's going on. A lot of our people don't understand in the streets, don't understand the history or the propaganda that's being used to social engineer our mind to see things the way that they want us to see things, to make us more white friendly, to make us not have a uncompromising way of thinking because of our history. Black men, see, we need more angry black men. See, they created this thought process in America. The angry black man is toxic. No, the angry black man, when his anger is placed in the right way, is woke. He's uncompromising. When he walks in the room, other groups look at him and they move out the way. because they know that he's not just taking the check. He's not just going for the things that they used to do to us. We're not angry enough as Black men to form a brotherhood and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm taking back what you took from me. We're still allowing our children to be educated in these schools. And I talk about Black male accountability because we're the leaders. And it's enough woke Black men in America, across America, where we could be making waves right now. Yeah, you got a lot of Black men going in and out of the pen and fucking up and doing shit, but it's a lot of Black men doing well. We got to get out of our male caddy shit and stop working together as individuals and begin to come together, because the devil is never going to stop being a devil. See, the education system in this country, even if you got white friends that's not so-called racist, the education system educates them to always see themselves as greater than you, because they never ever revamp this education system. So the systems, the institutions, everything is geared towards, in this capitalist society, and keeping you at the bottom and making you psychologically see yourself as the bottom. You are sentenced to a lifetime of consumerism. And why am I saying that? Because when you're sentenced to, after slavery, when you're sentenced to a lifetime of consumerism, that means that you're not working together as unison as a people to produce. When you work together in unison to produce, you build relationships, you build morality, you build communities around that. You build families based on keeping your economics together. You have that thought process. That's not for the Negro people. And at what point is Black men are going to get angry enough to say, I'm uncompromised? They even burning up Black churches now. I've seen on the news. They done burned up 3 Black churches in the South. Why are we angry? So they say, oh, George, the angry George. He talking about Black male accountability. He's a simp. No. I'm tired of seeing Black men lose. I'm tired of seeing us be compromised. We're compromised with our suits on in these corporate structures, keeping our mouth shut even when we hear racism. We compromise when we out on the corner filling up the white man's prison systems. We compromise on every fucking level because we ain't angry enough. You know what happens when I'm having a conversation with people about Black pride? It's always, yeah, I hear you, George, but, man, I don't want to hear a fucking but coming from Black men. We're past the but. I hear you, George. When do we start? Let's do it. We got to get but out of our vocabularies as Black men and go back and take what's been taken from us. Yeah, we come from different walks of life. We got different thought processes on everything. But one thing we do know, when we talk about these different parties, Republican and Democrat, none of them parties have ever been for us, the Black men, historically. What does the Black man want? How about 5 million of us get together and form our own party and put some things behind it to change things? We got to get our head out of our asses, man. As Black men, you got Black men with all kinds of education. They're giving us this bullshit that the Black man is in prison and he's just dead. That's a fucking lie. There's millions of Black men with education, with money. But when you see a Black man, you see an individual, not a collective. But when one Black man does something, we all judge by the collective. But we've been conditioned to see ourselves as individuals. It's a disgrace. If we want to change this shit and we tired, then I need to see some angry Black men. We should be tired of being tired, BMT. We should be tired of being fucking tired. I don't even have to mention the women. I'm talking about men. Because when men get uncompromising and get tired, things change. Study the history of the world. When men get tired and say enough is enough, things change. Men change realities when they're ready to do it. So I don't really have to get into everything that my brother BMT and Moses are saying, because I agree with it. The only thing I'm adding to it is, okay, well, guess what? We got to start now unifying the brothers and bringing them together. We got to get uncompromising. We got to get our minds out of this Republican and Democrat shit. Both of those parties let the Black man down. Both of those parties is responsible for the hangings and killings of Black men. Me and Moses is doing sometime this week is going to do a live stream on how the federal government created ghettos. We got to get our shit together as Black men, and we got to be uncompromising about it. We got to stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we got to be angry. And that angry has to be placed in the direction of wanting better for our children. That's all I got to say.
No, I agree with you 120%, George. Again, y'all gotta understand, man. Black men, if we don't use our voice, we damn sure are going to lose it. And we got to start getting out of these pretenses of just talking about the foolishness and what's hot and trending and different stuff like that. Y'all gotta understand, man. They always like bringing us up on trending topics and what's hip and cool and different things like that. Listen, I can give a shit about music. I can give a shit about what's hot and trending. I don't give a damn about who's popping. Those are all materialistic bullshit things that they use just to take our eyes off a narrative. People are coming here and passing us by and getting onto political seats, trying to push us out of businesses, trying to push us out of our neighborhoods. They had no problem shutting down our schools. They had no problem marketing us like we are bad people, like the black man does not want to be with his woman and his child. Listen, I will keep on fighting like George until I die. I will keep on informing y'all. I will keep on working with brothers like Info, like George, and everyone on this panel. Because I understand that the narratives that are being pushed out, like I said, the man, that brother who hadn't even been buried in the ground yet, they already calling him, he's toxic, and he was toxic masculinity. He's a bad thing to the black community. He hadn't even been put in the ground yet. Y'all gotta understand, they will try any and everything. Once they destroy your image, they don't have to come up with a reason why to kill you. Y'all do know that that's in the art of war. Once I make the enemy look like a bad guy, I don't have to prove to him. And y'all seen the court cases. Well, that black guy, he looked like a thug. Wait, he looked like a thug. What the hell does a thug look like? All right, but y'all been saying that we're predators. I remember when I was coming up, my mom said, make sure you be in the house before it gets too dark. Don't give the police a reason. So whenever we saw a squad car, we automatically ran into the alleys afraid. Because we didn't want to be the ones to get shot. I don't want my kids to live in fear. Damn sure I know George don't. Nor Moses, no Info. Nor Lion. Nor should any of us. But I'm not going to allow these motherfuckers to tell me or any of my babies in my state that, hey, you people like picking cotton and y'all enjoyed it and y'all had a good time working with your white brethren. Fuck you in that bullshit ass narrative. But then then they make excuses. Mind you, that white man in Texas, he didn't get no felon when he beat that black woman. Now, did he, George? Did he? He got out that same night.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an indictment on us as black men, though.
Now, had that been a black man,
right,
beat a white woman with a handgun in our hand,
right,
nigga, you know you gonna get your ass shot.
Yeah.
They ain't coming to bring you in.
We not fair, BMT. We looked at it as a joke, and that's the problem. And we got to be honest about it.
But see, again, now the woman who got her ass beat, she's looking at going to jail. I'm like, right. What kind of bullshit world is this?
White man's. He make the rules.
Check. Hey, BMT, let me add just a few points right here. I really want to do Information Man's his platform a real service and show him that African American brothers, when we do come together and have these conversations, we're not just spewing things that don't need to be said. See, they took the road of, well, how do we connect to our African American students here that we serve on their Black History Month and give them an impactful lesson that they will never forget. And we can see how they got it wrong And we can also see that there are alternatives and different approaches really invoking those African Americans who are in their vicinity that they could have used. I just did a little bit of research just looking, so I'm not thorough yet. But the two sources that I went to, one was the Ebenezer Avenue, the actual school, their website. The thing that stood out to me was how they teach about 9/11. Of course, that's something that I've had to stand up in my own home with my children. They could fail those papers about Bush went and it was retaliation for and the terrorists are and all of that. They can fail. So they're already at odds with me when it comes to education system on how they teach certain things. This just has to be one. Now I want to bring out a couple of key points here. So about Rock Hill itself, the town, after the Civil War, it changed social, economical, political situation there. I'm on the Wikipedia right now. Most of the merchants in Rock Hill around 1870 were former Confederate soldiers. Now, these Confederate soldiers became the entrepreneurs, they became the decision makers, they became the major landholders and businessmen in that Rock Hill area. Their legacy is, if you've ever been there, if you haven't been there, I'll just tell you, is still endured by the daughters of the Confederate. I tell you that all the time on many of these. When you want to go to any grave sites and see where your family and all of those things were, the major landowners and businessmen who continued the paperwork basically on the wills, the petitions. If you needed to go to court for anything, you're passing along your monies or your land to the next generations. The records that were held were still operated by those people who were in charge, right? So number one, that the major landholders and businessmen of that area and their children were Confederate soldiers. So you know the odds that you were fighting up against. Number two, which is just a direct irony, about some 100 years later in the civil rights movement, Rock Hill was the setting for two significant events in the civil rights movement. February 1921, 9 African-American men went to jail on the prison farm. So prison farm. Don't let that go right over your head. They did a sit-in at a lunch counter, and then they went to jail at a prison farm. Now, why is this important? It's still there. Their names are engraved, but here's what they were charged with. Their offense was reported to be refusing to stop singing hymns during their morning devotions. So this same irony that we're looking at here of, well, you took our babies to go pick cotton and you made them sing songs, which was a part of the same 1960s civil rights movement where the Friendship Nine were arrested here from Rockville for singing these same type of songs that you're having our babies sing today. So that is one of the deeper ironies that we can educate folks on. I mean, a little bit later, you would at that same time, rather, you would have one of the civil rights leaders, John Lewis. We always hear about his freedom rides and the work that he was doing, but he was also beaten by a white mob there, which was uncontrolled by the police. He was one of the freedom riders there. The Supreme Court tried to outlaw racial segregation, so that's what they tried to do. But unfortunately, going to places like Rock Hill, where this event took place, where they were taking our babies still to go pick cotton and such, and sing those songs, that is still a place where John Lewis, if you call him ours, I still call him ours, our representative, he was a part of that, getting beat up by those same families. So those families still architect the education system, the political system, the merchant class. They are the landowners and they are the business owners, and they are still setting the precedent that we need triggering moments like this, Brother Information Man, and we need your reporting and you bringing these to our lights to where our passion can go and we can discuss strategy. We may not agree on tactics, but one thing that we do agree with, like Brother George said, is that we need our brothers to start stepping up and forming a more cohesive bond on what do we do when we have these type of movements. Do we have brothers who are willing to do the next level research? Do we have brothers who are willing to show up on the ground and take any type of action, whether it's protesting or, like he said, I want them all fired, showing up to the school board saying this is why you were wrong and presenting them with information and facts like these? Facts that he has been delivered by, or he's been given from his brothers who strategically come together after events like this, get our game plan together, and then take that to the powers that be. Here's where you're wrong. Here's why it's wrong. And here's what is going to happen if you continue to be wrong. We will always show up. We will always speak up, and we will not be muted in our generation to the same atrocities that you've committed. So I appreciate just having the space and the time on the platform. I did want to just drop a couple of tidbits that go directly hand in glove with what you're saying. Look, this is an ongoing battle in these places. and I feel for my brother. I was out there in Charlotte. Rock Hill just happens to be one of the metropolitan. I think it's the largest now, but back in the day, it was still, and even today, the descendants of those Confederates still own and operate the land and the decision making there. So in instances like this, it sucks, but it gives us the kindling that we need to take action. Now it's up to us as men, as Brother George says, to determine what our next steps or our action should be. Maybe it's like this, spreading these words, but it has to be some action. And I thank Information Man for actually giving us a platform and a space to get it out and to start having those dialogues on the next level. Appreciate it. And peace.
I appreciate you. What me and BMT have talked about this, I've thrown this around in my own thoughts. And what we got here is a think tank. We need to have more think tanks where Black men can come together from channel to channel and have constructive conversation that leads to solutions without it being a bunch of bickering. I look around YouTube and I've seen many live streams, and a lot of times Black people are bringing up good points, they're making their points, but people seem to be competing with each other as if it's like, who's got the best point, who's the smartest person. We need to simply put people's points on the table, allow people to express their points and their ideas and their solutions, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and try to implement these things in our individual communities, involved in our individual organizations that we're a part of, and then try to spread this word in unity throughout YouTube. What I notice the most is that when I look at the chat room, people always say, thank you, for having a panel where people got out points. It made sense. It wasn't a bunch of bickering and arguing. And I think that's what we need. We need a think tank that's strictly designed to get to points, not just for people to get on and show how smart they are, but show literally how we can fix the problems that we have. We have very little streams like that. Now, you and Brother George Maker, you guys do this all the time when you're on his channel. You lay it out, you have the evidence, you're conceit in what you're saying, you make sense. And that's what we need more of. So I'm proposing, because BMT and I have been talking about this, I'm proposing that we form a think tank. And I think Brother George, Brother Moses Jenkins, BMT, definitely have to be a part of that such think tank. And we got to be serious about issues that we want to attack. That's my proposal as far as what we're doing here on YouTube. Of course, there's more to do in the community. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, you brothers are already doing it, but I've seen too often panels where it's a bunch of
I think, well, me, Moses, and Richie, I'm here in Philadelphia. Moses is on the West Coast. Richie is in the UK. So this is we started this a while ago. That's why when you see my platforms, it's the same brothers.
That's right.
We're trying to form a brotherhood, and we don't have all of we disagree on the platform. We laugh and we joke. We talk about it. We build about it. We do live streams together. So, and I was hoping that it becomes infectious. It starts to go out to the greater. See, because one thing I've noticed about Black YouTube is you don't like me because I was a former thug. You dislike me because I disagree with your point. This is the problem with Black men. We got to get out of that shit. So what you disagree with me? You know what I mean? Let's sit down and talk and build on it. Let's build on it. So, we need to have more of a brotherhood, because I'm going to tell you something. If we got a brotherhood in the think tank, you got brothers in South Carolina. When we come together and have these type of spread this information, we can bring information and give it to the brothers, and then let the brothers go handle that in South Carolina. The same thing if it was in Virginia. The same thing if it was in Philadelphia. When you got brothers working together in tandem, because see, we got information and the way we can spread it better than what our grandparents could.
Exactly.
So it's no excuse for us today.
There's no excuse. So what you're doing over there, George, you're forming something, and I think all of us on our channels need to form some type of think tank, and then when we can come together and combine our forces. But that's something that I'm gonna do, needs to be done. Today, let me tell you what happened, George. If I would have had Brother, are you familiar with Brother the BT?
Who is it?
Brother the BB Umanja. He's a brother who's an activist in Los Angeles, California. He's also into he's an herbist. He comes out of that same cloth as Dr. Exactly. Sabi, and he's also a brother who's been talking about vaccines, how it's destroying us. He's done extensive research. He's a big time activist in Los Angeles area. Now he is knows the family, Nipsey Hussle family. He teaches. He's connected with Art. Brother Art is the one that told me about him, and he has actually worked with the brother's daughter, Nipsey Hussle's daughter. He was supposed to come on and give me an exclusive interview as it relates to what's really going on from the ground level in his relationship with the family, things that people may not know. After consulting with the family, they thought it was best he not do the interview. And out of respect, I said, you know what, I understand that. And so I'm not going to be talking anything more about Nipsey Hussle in any kind of way right now, out of respect for the family. He's going to come back on at a later date, and we're going to get into vaccines and the other things that he has expertise in studying. But I bet you any kind of money, if this brother would have come on with me today, and the title that I originally had on that show, and I had to delete everything because I talked to him about it, you know, I probably would have had a whole bunch of people in here like I had the other day, because I'm talking about something that's juicy versus what we're talking about now. You see, our people are funny like this. We will run and we'll build a crowd to listen to the juicy stuff. But then when it comes down to the hard work and the things that we may not want to hear, that includes us getting off our asses, nobody's here to listen to that. That's our problem.
Info man, let me say this though, with something that I learned in the last year or so. Sometimes when we go live like this and we only got this little bit of people, I'm glad. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you find out who your true followers are, and that's when you begin to build. See, the thing is, I don't need the whole community to wake up. If they say it's 50 million black people, I need 2%. That's 1 million black people can change the whole 50 million across America. So what we need to do is use YouTube, and we're spread out all over the country. We need to form a brotherhood and a think tank. And the reason, see, when I say brotherhood, and I don't mention the women, because black women are going to have to be reconditioned and learn to see black men in leadership. Sure. Because they will have to learn to see black men moving unapologetically and authoritative. Our women don't understand what that looks like, so it's easy to be called toxic. Because a black man with his chin up, angry, where it's placed in the right way and moving forward, that's angry because you're trying to usurp $1 billion industry that everybody's making money off of our dysfunction. I mean, it's profitable for black women to get abortions. You know how much money does the government and the state make from that? It's profitable for black men to kill each other and go to prison. It's profitable for us to buy all kinds of fashion designers to cover up our PTSD undiagnosed. It's profitable for us to go in and not eat right. It's profitable for women to get weaves. So what I'm saying is we got a multi-billion-dollar spending power, but we're not in charge of it. So it's profitable for us to leave out the community and don't own the buildings in the community that you live in. That's profitable. So when black men start forming think tanks and start speaking out against this, that's a problem, but we got to do it. So I'm talking about we got to be angry. Use these think tanks to move around. It's no excuse no more. We don't got no more excuse. We always talked about how they portrayed us. Well, now we got YouTube. We got information where we can get everywhere at the same time. So what we going to do with it? I don't got time to be beefing with black men. I'm trying to form a brotherhood and let's move forward. It's brothers that got more knowledge than me in certain areas. I got more knowledge than certain brothers in other areas. Let's use what we're great at and let's begin to move. That's it. Let's begin to move. Let's get out of the division through religion and politics. That's bullshit. None of these groups for us. We are black men. BMT is my brother because his ancestors suffered the same as mine. I don't care if he's a Republican or Democrat. That's a black man in America. That's my brother. Once we begin to see each other through that lens and not the stereotypical lens, we begin to see each other, and then we can move as black men. We got to get away from that shit because it's all designed under the system of capitalism to keep us in the back.
You're right.
I'm gonna get off at this. I gotta go tend to the wife.
Yeah, what I'm about to do is end this stream. This stream actually evolved into something a lot greater than I thought it was going to evolve. Let me go ahead and do this. And Brother George, thank you for coming on. We will connect very soon. Brother BMT, you got any last words? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my man Lion's Den and let him take us on home. give some shout outs to folks in the chat room. And I want to say shout out to Mary Jane, who gave me a super chat earlier. Thank you, sister, for coming over. And thank everybody that is in the chat room. You know, this isn't juicy like the Nipsey Hussle video that I did Thursday, where it was just popping in the chat room. We're not doing this juicy stuff today. Now, I was supposed to have, like I said, an exclusive interview with someone who knows the family, and I had to delete all of that out of respect for the family. I had a conversation with brother today, and out of respect for the family, I had to end that stream. And I'm sure that that stream would have been quite juicy with folks. But BMT, go right ahead. Give us your last thoughts, brother. And I don't take anything that you said personal, brother, because sometimes harsh, tough pills need to be swallowed and harsh words need to be said. We're all grown men here. I'm 49 years old. We don't need mommy and daddy to hold our hands. We're big boys here. We can take what you have to say and we can assess it and look at where we can improve, change what we're thinking. And if we stand on the same stand that you stand on, then we're with you. Go right ahead, BMT.
Well, you already know I look at Information Man like an uncle. Anytime he comes over to my platform and support, he already knows he has an automatic link to come on.
Thank you.
And that's just how much my network like embraces you in your wisdom, you know. The girl that was beaten from that attack by her boyfriend, she woke up. She woke up. But she won't be the same, but she woke up.
Okay.
That's just the kind of content that I cover on my platform. And also I invite brothers such as Info and other men, if y'all want to, come on. We talk about things that are impacting our community. And I mainly speak to Black men. I'm very cutthroat and harsh, but I am for my people first.
Right, that's right.
And I have to, but I can't come soft. I gotta come hard. Don't know any other way. But I wanna see I wanna see us succeed. You know what I'm saying? I know some people might say, like, you know, y'all might take it as, oh, he attacking Brother Moses. We're men. We're gonna have passion because we're speaking on something that we care about. I would want that if I'm saying something and Info or any other brothers have something to think about, they come hard and I'm like, whoa, okay, that made me step back. But I feel that heart and that passion. So under no duress does anybody need to feel like Moses or BMT, you know what I'm saying? At one time, you know, me and George, but you know, like me and George, we've been done through that aside. We say, yo, the main end game is we need to fix the community. So I would work with a brother like George, because he's talking about, I want to see Black men in their rightful position. That is the end game that a lot of men that should be working towards. Being in our proper place, running our homes, running our communities, running our schools. That's what we used to be doing as men. So there's nothing wrong with that. Much respect to Information Man. All you have to do is just ask, just tell me when. You already know. I've already got it passed through our board. If you need me to come onto your platform, I've already got it set.
Well, we need to do BMT because what George has going on we need to create a think tank.
Right.
We need to get some brothers together and form something and get to the point. That's what I want to do. What I want to do, let me just do this because I'm going to end the stream. I think I'm supposed to go over to O'Shea's. I think he's got the Sunday Rumble that I may be a part of. But let me give some shout out to brother Moses Jenkins. Do you have any other last words that you want to say, brother?
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And as we bring together those think tanks, man, keep me in mind. Always willing to have that conversation all day, every day. So definitely appreciate BMT for engaging and having that conversation, because oftentimes it can become that passion that we have. I remember when Oscar Grant died. I lived in Sacramento, California, the Bay Area or Oakland from the BART. We were supposed to go. And when it happened, I was so mad that I was ready to get in the car and drive all the way down to Oakland. My wife grabbed me. We went the other direction to the hills because she understood and I understood that that was not going to work out in our favor, not when I was that impassioned and that inflamed. So as much as I love Brother George and him saying the men got to get it together, I also understand that we need women in those think tanks as well, because they're able to help us see things in a different light as well and to be able to really assess situations. So if anything, you know, I'm all on board. I'm there with you. I've been there. I understood. Continue to research, continue to look deeper beyond those levels and see where our real challenges are, the policies and different things that are being used against us, what role should we have and how do we fight back? So with that being said, I'm good. Thanks, my brother.
Not a problem. Moses, like I said, man, listen, if y'all do want to contact me and say, hey, Info does it all the time whenever he wants me. We got to learn to start reaching out to each other and say, hey, BMT, I'm doing a show. Why don't you come on through, brother? Come on through. I will come. I will come because I am my brother's keeper. I believe we used to not just say that. We actually used to believe that. So if Moses is going to do something about re-educating Black youth, it would be something where he would say, BMT, Info Man, come on through. Let's talk about how we can redo this and start setting up something. Then after that, we go behind closed doors and say, hey, you guys, I want y'all to put aside $100. I'm going to take that and set it aside to go take some Black kids to go on an Afrocentric field trip. And I'm going to record it and I'm going to send it back to y'all guys. Do y'all understand how that would work? Y'all brothers following what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's power. But it got to start somewhere. I'm willing to put my faith in my brothers. And I would ask them to do the same for me. I gave that video to that girl that we made, Info, that really did lift her spirit. To know that Black men do care about her. Again, I try to tell her, we got to get away from just talking about women and beating and different other stuff and this rage and that. We got to start talking about some stuff that matters, people.
Well, let me go ahead and say this. We are going to talk about stuff that matters. That's what I've always strived to do. I do realize that the things that I may talk about may not be popular with everybody because everybody doesn't want to hear them sometimes. I may not do stuff that's sexy to some people, and then there's some topics that I'll get into that will be more sexy for people to digest. But either way, we're going to get into it. We're going to keep building this thing that we got going here. I want to thank Brother Moses Jenkins for being with us today, and Brother BMT. You know, I'll be right back with you soon. Lions Den, you got any words, brother? And let's give some shout outs to folks. We got Joe out there. We got Nikki Love, August Dreams. We got Old Reliable in the chat room. Let's give some shout outs to folks in the chat room as we get ready to conclude. But Lions Den, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I have some final thoughts. And I'd like to thank the brothers on the platform, BMT, and also I you know what, guys, I enjoy this platform because we learn from each other. And basically, and I also want to be a part of this. Info, you and I, we've been together we're going to be 11 years in June. I'm gonna let you know we've been doing this almost 11 years now.
Yeah, brother.
And we're still going strong.
What's that? U.S. News?
U.S. Talk Network.
U.S.
Blog Talk Radio. Exactly.
Yeah, so we've been around for a minute in different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And we've been throwing our head at the YouTube situation, but we're gonna keep it going. And you're absolutely right. I appreciate you saying those kind words.
Yes, sir. And we definitely have these same conversations. Like yesterday, I joined in the Nashville from Nipsey, from Nipsey Hussle. I've been, and once I was there, I feel the love for our own people. I've never felt this much love in my life from our own people, and I felt it. And I think this is time we have to have some conversations with one another, especially our brothers. We definitely have to be the conversations. And also, Info, if it's okay with you, I want to be a part of the think tank as well. Because that's the thing. I mean, we definitely need to come together, even though we have our issues, we have our differences. But at the end of the day, we still brothers, and we need our sisters as well. So we can definitely learn and understand and respect each other as a people. And that's why we always need to come together as one. And I love you guys. And let's just keep fighting for our people. And let's always be first.
All right, brother.
And I'm out.
Lions, then go ahead and give a little bit of love to the folks in the chat room.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll end us off with our concluding music for the day.
Okay, Joe W, Nikki Loves Love, V1 for Life, All Reliable, Though, Mistel, The Only the Wise, K Money, Xander, August Dream, Joe W, African Defender, Miss Corey B, She Implied Unique. I'm gonna try to go straight up real quick. ATF All Time Flat, aka Chief Chopper Foot. Xander, Love Bug. Okay, Reba Z, and BMT, Mary Jane, IG's form, IG's. I'm just going. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try to read it all over. Brother Moses, Mary Jane, Annette B.
True.
That's sir.
True.
Xander, So Okami, World Game Watch, and one Up Top TV, Kels 254, Lockhead Boss Lady, and Life with Rozzy, and that's basically it.
All right, brother. Thank you, everybody out there. Lockhead Boss Lady, So Alchemy, everybody, Nikki Love, all of you out there in the chat room, Brother Joe, Reliable, Xander, everybody that came in. And I know there's people who came in and left for a little bit. Thank you for being here with us. We'll continue this some more. We'll be doing some more live streams with guests and panels. I will be getting in contact with Brother Dabithi, and we'll figure out a way to get that brother on to talk about those other issues. He's an herbalist. The brother's an activist in Los Angeles. And once again, I want to apologize to everybody. Originally, I was supposed to interview him as it related to Nipsey Hussle. The family didn't want him to do it. So out of respect for the family, I had to delete all that stuff. And he called me, and we'll get him on to talk about other issues besides Nipsey Hussle out of respect for the family. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And I hope you enjoy the beats.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
you.